Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In the end of my presentation for this 2016 International IP Summer School in Xiamen University, I'm very honored to have the experts from Korea. They are my esteemed colleagues from Intellectual Discovery, and it's Mr. Peng and Mr. Lee. They would like to share their experience on IP to students. And before we start our Q&A section, I would like to briefly introduce Intellectual Discovery. Intellectual Discovery is the first IP management company in Asia. It's initiated by Korean government aiming to against patent troll and support domestic company from the attack of so-called MPE or PAE. And they also enhance fortified domestic company for their patent portfolio, monetization, intellectual property, to licensing, commercialization, and standardization. And Intellectual Discovery, they have many experts, and their expertise including in business management, litigation, licensing, finance experiences. They have been over 4,000 IP transactions, and their best practice including the in-house IP valuation and licensing records, inventor network for universities, research centers, and there are over 200 universities and 25 research centers cooperating with Intellectual Discovery for how to acquire inventions, idea to file patent application, and to value up, incubating standard essential patents, mining patent, and support claim track making. They have various technology area already included in Intellectual Discovery like HPC, mobile communication, and Internet of the Things, LED, OLED, semicons, just name a few of them. How to royalty securitization and intellectual property, and how to deal with the IP debt, having second funding for handling collateral IP, standardized patent pool are included in their services. We're very honored to have Professor Lee, and we have Mr. Wang, and they would like to introduce about themselves. Would you mind just briefly mention your career on intellectual property?
When I studied in the university, my major was electronics. At the time, most of my friends wanted to start job in the engineering company, such as they just wanted to enter the research institute and manufacturing company. But at that time, I thought I wanted to do some different works. So I just found the IP centers in big company in Korea. So I started the IP Korea.
So before joining Intellectual Discovery, Mr. Ben worked for LG Electronics at IP Center as the IP licensing expert for over 25 years. During this period, he involved in various licensing and cross-licensing deals with global companies including IBM, RCA, Thomson, Philips, Cisco, Wayland, MIT, Genstar, Sony, Hitachi, Panasonic, and MPL, etc. And he also involved various IP enforcement and litigation projects against the global television manufacturer including Vizio, Polaroid, Westinghouse, Sony, Funai, and Orion. And during the year of 1998 and 2004, Mr. Fang also involved project developing standard essential patents for MPEG 7 and TV anytime technology. And then Mr. Fang is the general manager in charge of the China business. We're very honored to help him to share his very impressive experience to our students. Now, may we have Professor Lee to share how you enter this intellectual property business?
Actually, after graduate university, I started work as a hardware manufacturing engineer. I worked for more than 5 years. At that time, we have to pay a lot of money to global company as a patent royalty. So we have to get a profit from the manufacturing product. So I thought I'm going to help to solve that issue. So I moved to enter IP division.
Allow me to further brief Professor Lee's CV to you. He's currently the General Manager of the Intellectual Discovery, in charge of the funding variable patents and assigned from research institute, university, and companies. And he helped to analyze patent for purchase and check the validity, marketability, and enforceability. And he also made the EOU target to product infringement by patents, and he also helped companies to value up their patents, to manage their patent prosecution, to monetize their patents, and manage the patent litigations. And before he joined Intellectual Discovery, he has been working for Samsung, LG. He also founded his own IP company before joining Intellectual Discovery. So his experience is very worthwhile for our students to learn. And we thank you for the brief introduction. So now we go to our next set of questions. I'm wondering what Mr. Wang would like to share. What would be your most important achievement or unforgettable experience during your career?
Yes. I started my IP career in electronics 25 years ago. At that time, most of our works concerns to IP defense. At the time, many Korean companies, including LG and Samsung, started to enter the overseas market in United States and European countries. But at the time, our company considers to break through these circumstances. So our companies started to develop the open cases. So I did some IP enforcement actions in the United States against some big companies in US and Japan. Finally, I got about 100 million royalty incomes at the time. And also, during the course of the enforcement, I was involved in the IP litigation against a big top Japanese company. At the time, we did some IP litigation in overseas countries, in US, Japan, Germany, and China and Korea. There were so many litigations for one case. At the time, we finally settled with the big Japanese company. That is the impressive memories, my impressive memories at the time.
Thank you for Mr. Wang's sharing. And what Professor Lee would like to share, what is your highlight or most interesting experience you would like to tell our students?
When I joined the IP division at LG, I received one strong mission. We have to solve a patent IP issue with IBM. At that time, LG didn't have a lot of patent to defend from IBM, and LG paid around 5% of royalty to IBM for each product. So we need to find a patent to attack IBM product. So we try to find the patent for 1 year, and finally we find some patent to attack to IBM, and we made a good settlement with IBM. We can reduce the royalty to IBM and that is one of my good experience at LG, and it's a first experience in IP division.
Thank you for the sharing. The final question for the time limitation, what Professor Wang would like to share students if they want to follow you enter this intellectual property profession, what will be the take-home message for them?
At these days, so many Chinese companies enter the overseas market in the US. So I know that those companies are facing IP dispute within foreign companies. So I think there are big demand for IP export. Also, China is a big country, so many overseas companies tries to enter the Chinese market. So I believe Chinese companies should protect their companies against foreign companies entering. So also there are big demand for IP export. It's okay if you work for companies or work for law firms in China. It's okay. Important thing is to you contribute the companies in protection of the companies. So I recommend you be a good expert in IP industries in China.
Thank you for your sharing. So thank you very much for students coming, and we're very honored to have Mr. Wang and Professor Lee. They're coming so far away from Korea to share their experience, their highlights, and their skills. We hope soon we will have another opportunity to invite him back to our summer school to teach and encourage our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.